Yo, what's up guys? It's Boo from Mile High Distilling, back today with another video. A little while ago on this channel, we made a pineapple brandy and it turned out great. We enjoyed it, but there's something about fruit-based spirits, brandies, schnapps, something about just oak aging them seems to bring out a lot. It seems to reinforce a lot of those flavors. It seems to round out a lot of those residual flavors, and it smooths everything out. It's really good for a fruit-based spirit. I want to go ahead and play around with the barrel today. Now, normally we go ahead and oak age through a spiral that just fits directly in our jar, little small 12-ounce mason jar, and kind of ages from there. It's a fast process because we have good surface area, so things are usually pretty aged within a month. But I want to do it the traditional way. I want to go ahead and show you guys the steps to preparing a barrel, getting things in there. Now, a little bit about these barrels. These are a 3 to 4 char, which is very standard. That's probably your most standard barrel you'd see in the distilling craft. Most bourbons, whiskeys, tequilas are done through a 3 to 4 char American white oak. This is a 1.5 gallon barrel. We go through a very small craft cooperage located here in the States. I can't really fully disclose, but it's a little bit up north from us. These guys are very good at what they do, and I really don't even see this barrel leaking at all, because they're so good at what they do. But let's go ahead and hit that hydration phase on the barrel. That's our first step to kind of preparing a barrel so I can show you guys. And let's get to it. Let's get to it, guys. I'm excited. Are you ready? Here we go. Let's go. The first thing we got to talk about with these barrels is this bung hole here. We're going to be using that to fill up as well as potentially drain out if we don't use the spigot. And this gets people sometimes. These are very fragile, so we have to be careful when removing them. Now you can use anything from like a spanner wrench to pliers, something to actually grip on there. What I'd recommend is go ahead and put it firmly across there and then sort of wiggle, just like that. It should come out pretty easy. If not, if you're starting to break wood, things are going wrong, grab a cloth, put it over there, try again, just wiggle back and forth. If you're still not there, call me, email me. Number down below, okay? There's a few things we can do. Now, once we've got our bung out of there, we need to start our hydration phase. We do that with hot water. Hot water, not cold. What I use is a funnel, and then I've got a bucket waiting. If you have a stand for your barrel, obviously this makes it a little bit easier. If not, like me, just play with the barrel, kind of hold everything in place, and sort of gently dump that water in. And we're filling up the barrel. Now, as far as time goes on this, that's really where we keep an eye out, because really it kind of depends on the barrel. I told you guys before in the intro, this barrel really doesn't leak. They make them so well. I don't think we're going to have to hydrate for more than maybe even a day, maybe not even at all, but we're going to do it anyways for the course of the video. Anyways, this barrel is pretty rock solid, and so I don't suspect we'll have to hydrate much. We just want to hydrate until we don't notice leaking. Now, it's very normal for your barrel to leak during your hydration phase. Nothing to be concerned with. That's what happens. You wait till it stops leaking. If things continue to leak past a week, again, contact us. If you bought the barrel from us, let us know, and we can probably replace it at that point because something's wrong with that barrel. However, for most cases, that really shouldn't be an issue. Go ahead and fill your barrel up. And once it's here, once it's completely full, you can see it there throughout the whole barrel. Put that bung back on, store it in, I recommend, sort of a shady place, dry compared to non-dry. I prefer dry in my environments. I don't think it really comes down to being that big of an issue at the end of the day, as far as I'm concerned. But regardless, go ahead and get your barrel filled. Put it in a cool, dry place if possible, and wait. You're just going to wait until leaking stops and you are ready for the next step. Now, if you see little oak chips like this fall out of your barrel, that is completely fine. I'd recommend keeping these, putting them in a Ziploc bag. When we go to age, that's only going to add character to whatever's in here already. That's from the process. It's got a little bit of character in it. It's already been pretty charred because these are charred on the inside. I'd keep it, okay? Something important to remember while we're here, I did forget about it because I don't usually do it, But if you're going to add a spigot, do it now. Go ahead and get your hole drilled out. We're going to put it right on this face, just a few inches above this indentation throughout the face of the barrel. So I'm going to do a close-up here, but essentially we want it, you know, right around here. And we want to do this now and put our spigot in, because what will happen is as this barrel hydrates, it's going to swell, and that's going to make it so that our spigot, our wood swells around that spigot and keeps it tight. Let me tell you guys why I don't do that. Number one, it's just another place for the barrel to leak. There's something called angel share that appears in barrels. Essentially, it's just evaporation. What will happen is this barrel will be sitting here, and over time, moisture versus hot air, whatever you want to call it, things are going to start evaporating from the seams of this barrel. You will lose a little bit of what you put in this barrel. Every time, no matter what climate, no matter what environment, you'll lose something, okay? So keep that in mind. If we have a spigot attached, we're going to be evaporating from the spigot as well as the bung hole. Would it matter? Potentially not. Here in Colorado, it's very dry. Yes, I think you would see a decrease in quantity largely by using a spigot. Number two, this is a small barrel. For big barrels, I think it's more important. For the small barrels, I can very easily just pull out this bung hole and drain right from there using this funnel or something like that. It's not a big deal to me. I don't want to risk it. Why even do it? So I'm going to leave that up to you. But I don't use a spigot. All right, so hopefully this isn't too bright for you guys in here. I have my barrel. It's only been a day and we're already not leaking. That's what I'm saying about these American-made barrels. If this was in a Mexico-made barrel or something like that, we'd probably be looking at 5 days. But I'm all good. I'm not leaking from any of my seams. Nowhere's on my face are leaking. Well, that's, you know, that was leaking at one point, but it's sealed up now. Not leaking anywhere else. No fresh water. So it's time to dump, because we're going to have to be filling with alcohol next. Your bung is definitely going to be a little harder to wiggle out now that the oak has swelled around it. So let's give it a little bit of a forcefulness to it. And boom, dumping our barrel. You're going to see some oak chips fly out. As I mentioned, you can choose to keep those. Not really essential, just whatever you feel. You might be able to hear that. We still got a lot of chips in there, which is good. It brings character. Now, what I'd recommend is after you dump once, go ahead and fill up just a tiny bit more and give it a nice little clean rinse out and dump again.
Dump, just rinse it out, dump it and dump in there again.
Right?
Oh, man.
Sweet. We should be in good shape. We got the Mile High legend, Zane Norman, in the house, here to help with the barrel. And let's go ahead and start pouring our alcohol in. Now, we've got a few rules we have to follow with barrel. There's something known as barrel strength alcohol. What that typically means is anywhere from about 120 to 140 proof. That's what we put in the barrel. We really don't want anything lower than that. Is it going to hurt anything? Not really. But we're taking a slow process and making it way slower by adding that lower strength alcohol. So we want to do 120 to 140 or so. It's going to be enough to sufficiently absorb those tannins and decrease our barrel aging time. Remember also with the barrel, it has to be completely filled up at all points. If you don't fill this barrel all the way up, number one, you're going to lose a lot more to that angel share with all that empty space, as well as you're not getting the surface area you really need to properly have those tannins come into your alcohol. So we want to completely fill this by really any means necessary. What I've done before is if I have a lower strength alcohol, it's not like I can always go back and redistill it. What I can do there is take a higher strength alcohol from the liquor store, a neutral spirit that won't affect my flavor of my alcohol too much, and kind of pour it in to make up that lower proof strength. Additionally, if you're too high in proof, say 180, obviously you can dilute down with a juice or water, really whatever you want, to bring that down. And that fills in some of your volume as well. We have our pineapple brandy we're going to be dumping in here. We are just a little bit short and we're at about 140 proof. So because we have that, we're going to be dumping a little bit of pineapple juice to dilute our spirit down to 120 proof, which is still going to be nice. And, you know, we're going to make up that volume that way. Boom. And then let's fill the rest with our pineapple juice. Can I see real quick? Now, one thing I was thinking about doing initially with the barrel that I didn't end up going through with is I do have a lot of pineapple chunks here. I was thinking about throwing that into the barrel. I thought that'd be a really cool idea. The one thing with there is these are going to absorb a lot of alcohol. We're already getting some alcohol evaporated out. We're just going to lose more if we do this. So I'm going to throw a tiny handful in there just for a tiny bit more flavor, but too much and it's just going to suck up all the alcohol. Okay, so we have filled up our barrel. Let's go ahead and get our bung back in there. And then from here, usually you'd have a stand. We'll probably end up building one. I just don't have one right now. But you could also just kind of sit the barrel like that. That's why we do our hydration phase. Make sure nothing leaks. It's fine to handle it like this. If it's full, that shouldn't be any disparagement in the surface area. Everything should be sufficiently coated, everything being aged, even if it's on one side. So don't worry about it too much. What we'll do from here on out is we're going to give this a waiting period, which is really hard for us. We're not good waiters. So we're going to have to be patient. We're going to do a minimum of 6 months on this barrel, and you guys will see it in the flash of an eye. So enjoy.
For a lifetime of I love yous, 2 hearts, 1 beat. You whisper to me, be mine for a lifetime.
Well, that didn't last nearly as long as initially expected. We were planning in here for 6 months. The thing is every 2 weeks I take a sample from this barrel. That's what I recommend to you folks, even every week if you really want, until you're at your desired color and flavor. Now 2 months in here, and we are starting to see a little bit of a change. When we initially put this in the barrel, give it 2 or 3 weeks, and that oak started coming through, but that pineapple was just a blast of flavor. So we had that nice pineapple flavor and just a touch of that wood. Now sitting here at 2 months, we are starting to see a little bit more of that oak coming through, and it's starting to take away from our pineapple characteristic. It's still there, but I have the feeling if we continue to go, it's only going to saturate more of that pineapple flavor, and I don't really want to mess with what we've got right now. I will have future batches of this where I will experiment and age a little bit longer, but for now, this is our first batch we've ever done of this pineapple brandy. I want this to be good and ready for our Thanksgiving and Christmas party this year. So we are going to go ahead and extract out of our barrel. Only 2 months in. Remember, some of that has to do with the surface area. Those distilleries you're seeing where it's aged for years, remember these are usually big barrels, 50-gallon barrels, 25-gallon barrels. And so that takes a longer time to age. This has such good surface area because it's such a small barrel, as well as it's brand new oak, never been used. Those tannins are fresh in there. So the combination of those two things is going to lead to that barrel really not taking too long. I've heard some people say with these smaller barrels that aging in here for 3 months is equivalent to like 3 years in a bigger barrel. After seeing this, I don't think we're quite at that much of a gap, but I would wager that aging in here 3 months is like aging maybe a year or 2. So without further ado, let's go ahead and extract. If you do have a barrel of your own and you have a spigot installed, you obviously can extract that way. I just used a fill port on these small barrels, so it's going to look a little goofy, but I'll show you how I do it. What I have here is my bottle. Obviously, use what you want, jars, jugs, your call. And then this is a $20, $25 stainless steel funnel from milehighDistilling.com, but you can also get them elsewhere, obviously. And we're just going to be pouring into here. Now it does to sometimes stand to get a little messy when you're doing it that way. So there's a few alternatives. This is going to take forever, but I can use this baster and try to keep most of it in there and essentially just do it that way, little by little. We can also look at using basically a siphon system with a hose and kind of siphoning it out of there which is a really good way. Obviously, if you have that spigot, you'll just end up using that spigot. So there's a few different ways. Of course, we can also look at just siphoning through a hose like this. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is there's a few different methods we can use to extract. Let me go ahead and finish up extracting. One thing to mention as well is obviously you're going to have a lot of oak particulate in your bottles after this is said and done. So as you're extracting out, you should obviously consider some sort of filtration device, maybe even like a cheesecloth kind of sitting there through your funnel, making sure that none of that stuff gets over. Otherwise, you can look at basically just filtering everything out after you have poured into your bottle with the same way, just taking a cheesecloth and just kind of transferring from one bottle to the other. And bam, here we have it. Here is our yield from this age. Now you might be asking right now, Boo, what gives, man? That's a 1.5 gallon barrel. How'd you end up with 750 mils? That equates to about a gallon. Well, good call on that. Now, one of these we can't do anything about. Remember, we have angel share. So some of that barrel, some of the liquid in there is going to get evaporated over time. We were right at the end of what I would consider like the transfer period with more brandy coming in. So right around the 2-month mark is when that evaporation starts to take a little bit of its toll, and you would introduce fresh brandy, pour on top of that brandy that's already been aging, and kind of continue the cycle from there. More or less, we were kind of right at that point. We were getting ready to distill some more brandy for it. So we saw that. Also, one thing that could have been avoidable is we enjoyed this stuff, and we definitely enjoyed sampling it, okay? If it was just me sampling, just like a little shot here and there every 2 weeks or so, we're good. But we all loved it here. We got 6 employees, and so that's 6 shots every few weeks. Yeah, we could have been more controlled on that, but we enjoyed it. So this is our yield, and frankly, I'm completely happy with this. 2 months worth of weight for a gallon worth of some phenomenal, flavorful, barrel-aged brandy. Good for me. There's also way bigger barrel sizes. If you're not comfortable with that, get yourself a 5 or 10 gallon barrel from here, and you're going to be set for a while once that all ages. What we have is just this beautiful golden brown color, almost just like a pineapple in color, which is awesome to see. It's got a lot of that pineapple flavor in here, and then that oak is just well rounding everything, making it more of like a robust type spirit, a robust pineapple flavor. And so again, we're happy with this. Just for kicks, we made ourselves a little bit of labels just to see how they'd come out. Not the best quality, it was a free program, but hey, it was fun. So anyways, that is our yield. So before we leave here for the day, we have to take a shot of this. There's no way around it. Guys, please, would you take a shot with me here? If you got anything that's been sitting around aging for a little bit, either your own stuff or maybe you just have a nice, 5-year aged whiskey in your liquor cabinet, please take a shot with me, guys. We have to celebrate. Ladies and gents, thank you so very much for watching. Thank you for everything you guys do for this channel. For those who are sort of some OGs, we used to have an old YouTube channel, just Mile High Distilling without the one, and we had about, I think, 11,000 subscribers. That was a 10-year-old channel. We are sitting at just about 6,500 in less than a year because of you guys. So my dream is to catch up to that old number of 12,000 by the end of the year. Anything you guys can do to help, man, I'd appreciate you guys so much. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to our channel. Any questions you may have, any notes you may have, anything you want to say to us, go ahead and comment down below. And guys, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. Like tingles your whole mouth. And like the sides of my mouth are just buzzing right now. I can almost guarantee this is not going to stay here for too long. I should probably stop the video before I have maybe about 5 or 6 more shots of this. Guys, I will see you next time. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you around. Bye, babies.